Good evening, brothers and sisters. I'm happy to be here. Happy to get started. I say unto you, I love you, and assalamu alaikum, which means peace be unto you. And I mean that. My desire, my prayer is that you would have peace in this land that we're victims of. We're victims in this land. Victims in the land of quote unquote democracy. Victims in this land of hypocrisy called America. And we got a lot of, and we have to understand this, we have a lot of sellouts that are making it difficult for us to cross over into freedom. And we found out for some time that we've had those that have made it difficult for us, that have come from within our own community. And I want you to understand that, brothers and sisters. We could have freedom tomorrow. You and I could have freedom tomorrow. If we would only come together and trust God, we would have freedom tomorrow. But we can't have freedom divided, right? A house divided against itself can't stand. But we have so many brothers and sisters that are playing into this illusion of freedom. Literally playing into the illusion of freedom. So for that reason, we're still in this condition. We just talked a few minutes earlier about being in bondage and the story of Egypt. You and I just shared this beautiful story of being in bondage and the story of Egyptian bondage and the story of a Moses that will come and deliver his people. Is that right or wrong? Make us free. We just talked about it, right? The story of Egyptian bondage could serve as a hyperbole. It could serve as a figure or reference of speech as it relates to our identification with bondage and our faith in God to deliver us from the bondage that we're in. Now, there are those saying now, the atheists, I want to stop you. I want to stop you in your tracks. A lot of atheists are saying, well, there's no God. And the only thing that I'll say to that, here's my response to you saying there's no God. If there's no God, who are we talking about? Just the fact of you acknowledging him as the subject of conversation, discontent, or dispute, you've just given life to him as a being of existence. That's how powerful the spiritual possibility is. That's how powerful the spiritual nature is. This is the power of spirituality, that if you can conceive it, it's already been created, right? So we don't want to get into that discussion, but what we do want to understand is, like the children of Israel, we're in bondage, right? Because you and I are in bondage. You can accept that, and it doesn't make it any less right whether you accept it or not. It doesn't make it any less valid whether you accept it or not. The fact that we're in bondage gives credence to the story. And the black man is indeed in bondage, brothers and sisters. We are in bondage. And no matter what the leader is, just like that, to every Jesus, there's a Judas, and to every Caesar, there's a Brutus. I'm sure you would agree. I'm sure you would agree. So our desire and the job before us is to continue to depend on God and ask for his deliverance, right? Because he can deliver. For what God has said and foreordained shall be a fact. The story has already been told of our deliverance. The story has already been told of our freedom, our liberation. And whether you believe it or not makes it any less valid. And what I want you to do, brothers and sisters, is to have the faith as we go on to talk about the things that keep us in bondage. We must have the faith that God is able to deliver us, and that He is a rewarder of those that diligently seek Him. You and I have to have that kind of faith that God can and will deliver you, and God does answer prayers. Now, I'm talking about faith tonight because that's the one thing that we have to have in order to be delivered. You have to have faith. If you don't have faith, then you can't move mountains. But with faith, you're able to move mountains. And in unity, there's strength. You have to understand that. Now, what makes individuals sin against one another is the fact that they have no faith in themselves and they have no faith in God. These ingredients, these characteristics, these traits is what's caused and cause us to sin or to make bad decisions as it relates to our race. We have to understand that. And we betray our leaders, black people. Just like the children of Israel, they said, we wish we was back there in Egypt. There are many of you that wish that you were back in the old days of segregation. It's sorrowful. And it's just hard to imagine a people who could enjoy bondage so much that you wish you was back in the days where the white man was busting you all upside your head and busting you all upside your mouth. So much so that you're willing to betray your brother. That you're willing to betray him in order to go back to that kind of nightmare of a life. But that's what it was for us. It was nightmare. That's what it is for us today. The white man is a nightmare because he's still killing you. He's still killing me. He's still killing our children. He's still killing our ancestors, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents. As far back in any date, as far back as you go, or anywhere that you go on this planet, the white man has been absolutely disagreeable with any and every race that he's ever met. And I'm just telling you the truth. So we have to understand that. It's something that you have to understand because it's not going to go away. You have to understand it. It's not going anywhere. Racism is a fact in America, and sellouts is a fact in America because this is those that have given their fear, right? And their fealty to those who rule this planet through violence and bloodshed. But fear is not of God. I said fear is not of God. Is that right or wrong? God didn't give you the spirit of fear. He gave you the love, power, and a sound mind. Isn't that right? So God's idea of liberation and the devil's idea of liberation is totally different. Right? Well, the devil will give you false liberation. I know there are many of you that don't believe it, but it is true. It is true. The devil will give you a false sense of liberation if you'll let him. He'll make you think everything right is wrong, and everything wrong is right. That's what he does. He distorts your mental capability of deliverance. You and I have the ability to deliver ourselves with the power of God and deliver our brothers and sisters with the power of God. And God will raise up and has raised up among us leaders. God has done this. Raised up among us leaders after his own heart. And each leader that God has given us, from Adam all the way, and Adam to Abel, all the way to Jesus, and all the way to Martin King, Malcolm X, and even present day leaders, we have yielded them over to the white man to be killed. We have failed to protect them. This is what we do. And we help betray them, right? And we try to make their gospel the good news that God has given them a non-effect. That's what we do. Brothers and sisters, we'll stand for every bad example, right? We participate in everything that's unhealthy for us, right? And we will give in, right? Yield to every kind of temptation out there, because we honestly don't believe that God is a deliverer of those who diligently seek him. And we have to talk about this. We have to talk about it because it is God who will deliver us, and we are the handiwork of God. And I'm so thankful. I'm thankful today and every day that I'm in the land of the living. I'm going to, what we call the living, I'm going to do my best to do the will of God, to be an example, to serve, to help the poor in knowledge, the poor in self-esteem, the poor in historical culture. Because we have to learn how to love our trees. Brothers and sisters, isn't that right? Africa is our tree. This is our ancestral tree, and we have to learn to love it. We spend so much time hating the root of our own tree, and not knowing that by hating the roots of Africa, we began to hate the roots of ourselves. There's never been in history so much black people bleaching their skin to look like the white man than any other period in America. And this is true. This is true. So we've got, and you've had a lot of gentrification of the black race from racist and ignorant whites who they've had everything else, and now they want to take your race. It's a shame, brothers and sisters. It's a shame before God. Just a shame before God how black people will comfort evil and will reject good. It's a shame. You've got leaders that have been before us for years that are working for the enemy. We've got to wake up. We've got to open our minds, and we've got to put our faith in God. God will deliver us. Not a God that you walk around looking and say, oh, when are you coming? No, God will use you. God will use you. Organize yourself. Organize your spiritual mind. Organize your religious framework and allow it to work in your freedom. You say, what can I do to free us? Brothers and sisters, you can start teaching children in the community how to be independent, how to research among themselves. You can teach them science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in your own community. In your own community. You can embolden Christian education centers from K to 12. You can teach education out of your home. Yeah, home education. Right? You send your children to school, you complain about the knowledge that the white man is giving them. Why, you're out of your mind. It's not the white man's fault. Well, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Right? That's equivalent to you blaming the devil for roasting you with fire. Why, he's the devil. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. It's you who are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it's time for black people to start cleaning up their own communities. We've got to clean them up. We need leaders of that sort. I want you to understand that Minister Malcolm was killed. He was killed not because of what he wasn't doing, but he was killed because of what he was doing. What was he doing? Home education system in the black community. He had a plan. Take our children out of the public schools and educate them. Right? Isn't that right? To make a cooperation among black organizations to work together on a common goal. We have to look at this. Because once we go back and once we look at this and what was effective for the black community, what else did he do? He started partnerships and cooperation with civil rights organizations, leaders, and movement. Why was this a threat? In order to understand why this was a threat, you have to look at counterintelligence, counter espionage, right? Which is any activity aimed at protecting in agencies intelligence program from an opposition's intelligence service. It includes gathering information, conducting activities to prevent espionage, sabotage, assassinations, or intelligent activities conducted for or on behalf of foreign powers, organizations, or persons. Now, let me ask you this, brothers and sisters. How many of you right now believe that America is not a part of the European network or system? Because if you believe that America as a governing power is not a taxpayer to England, why you're out of your mind. Because if you don't believe that, then you don't know what the United Kingdom is about, right? United States, United Kingdom. Come on, brothers and sisters. Where did America come from? How did it begin? You have to ask yourself these questions. When you begin to answer these questions, then your eyes will open up. You understand that slavery didn't only happen in America, but this was a global phenomenon. Many countries will have multiple organizations focusing on different aspects of counterintelligence. Why? Well, these different aspects of counterintelligence and the countries that they're affecting are black countries. Were black countries before they were invaded. We have to think of the slave trade, North Atlantic Slave Treaty and Slave Trade Organization, otherwise known as NATO, North Atlantic Trade Organization, right? Otherwise known as NATO, another term for NATO. You have to understand that a domestic, international, and counterterrorism and the counterintelligence program that shift these things out are programs to keep black people in place around the country. Now, if you keep black people in place around the country, does that mean you have to control the leaders or kill leaders to instill other leaders? Is that right or wrong? And we're talking about, we're going to start talking about Minister Malcolm. I know that this is a little bit from the subject, but I'm trying to build a foundation so you'll understand why Minister Malcolm was taken out. And so you'll understand it. It wasn't the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that would kill Malcolm or destroy his life while he'd be working against himself. Elijah Muhammad was the key. But before we could get Elijah, we'd have to get his mouthpiece. Before we get the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we would have to get his mouthpiece. Minister Malcolm was Elijah Muhammad's mouthpiece. You have to understand that. And some states will formalize it. We're talking about the counterintelligence program as part of the police structure. Listen, brothers and sisters, this is important. And you have to know it. You have to know this. Because if you don't learn this, you're going to miss the entire thing. Entire point of this particular show. Some states, whether it be American states, British states, French states, whatever it is, some states will formalize the counterintelligence program as part of the police structure, such as the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation. Others will establish independent bodies such as the United Kingdom's MI5 and MI6. Others have both intelligence and counterintelligence programs grouped under the same agency, such as the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. And understand, all of these are in different areas, but all of them are run by European organizations. America is a part of that. When Minister Malcolm is assassinated, the success of it, and when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is assassinated, the success of that assassination could not happen without one of us. We've got to stop betraying one another, brothers and sisters. We've got to. We've got to learn that death is better than betrayal. You got to learn that. You have to wrap your mind around that. You got to wrap your mind around that. Everything is not for sale. Everything is not for sale. You can't sell everything. And you can't even sell yourself to everybody. That's just a fact of economics and a fact of history. Today, brothers and sisters, we're talking about a very particular subject. And we keep going back to this subject because it's very important for us to learn. This is important. This is so very important for us to learn. But we've got to understand it in terms of deliverance out of bondage and what we have to do and the way we must be in order to get deliverance from this bondage that we're in. If you're in America and you're black, you're oppressed. If you're in France, you're black, you're oppressed. If you're in Europe, you're black, you're oppressed. England, you're oppressed. Asia, you're oppressed. Australia, you're oppressed. The darker skinned people of the world, Haiti, you're oppressed. South America, you're oppressed. We live in oppression. Puerto Rico, oppression. Belize, oppression. Trinidad and Tobago, oppression. If you are Hawaii, oppression. Anywhere you could think, China, Japan, the black people are oppressed. Racism is a demonic teaching of superiority and inferiority, or what's known as eugenics. Now, for those that buy into it, in order to, and when I say buy into it, in other words, you could be paid to keep up this system. You can be manipulated to keep up the system of oppression, right? You could be sexualized to stay in this system of oppression. And that's where the LGBTQ movement comes from. See, if you can do that to keep up the system of oppression, right, then you'll be willing to do anything to keep up the system of oppression. You could be paid. You could be manipulated in many of those ways to keep the system up that you're benefiting from monetarily and otherwise, right? Who knows what your price is, right? Everybody don't have a price. Some people have the price. For some people, the price of freedom is death. For some people, it may not be that for you. You may be a sellout or somebody who's buying in, and it may not mean anything to you right now. But the day will come when God will judge and punish you, and there's nothing that has happened in the darkness that should not be brought to the light. Brothers and sisters, tonight we're talking about Minister Malcolm X and his personal photographer and friend, Robert L. Haggins. Let's talk about that. Haggins put his life on the line because we can't talk about Gordon Parks, and we know Gordon Parks betrayed Minister Malcolm, but Robert L. Haggins, like Earl Grant, put his life on the line for Minister Malcolm because he believed in freedom. He believed in the lesson that Minister Malcolm was teaching, a lesson of liberation, and he understood where this lesson came from. We can't count on the words of Alex Haley because he himself said that he didn't stand for Malcolm and hated himself for it. And his financier, or the financiers, were from the Reader Digest. So he was trying to get some money. I'm not against the brother for trying to get some money. But it's got to be more than money, brothers and sisters. Got to be so much more. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was the key to liberation for the black man, was the target globally for the destruction of the black man. If we get the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, no doubt these demons and devils said to themselves, then we'll be able to stop the movement. Excuse me, brothers and sisters, I know you understand. We'll be able to stop the movement if we can do this. If we can get to him. No doubt they were saying to themselves at a meeting, but we can't get to him because he's united black people too much. And I can see the devil saying, now there's some sellout there that would get us a direct line of fire to Minister Malcolm and a direct line of fire to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Well, we could separate them and then kill them both before anybody know anything about what was happening. Somebody in there that loved power and money that much. But I'm so happy that irregardless of what Judas or Brutus is around, whatever Jesus or Caesar, that there's always those that believe in the purpose of freedom, that are willing to do whatever they can do to make sure that their brothers and sisters are free, or to assist any leader to make sure that that freedom becomes a reality. I'm thankful to God for that, brothers and sisters. Because you are not able to sell out. Everybody has a limit. Even the coon and the tom have a limit to how far they will go. Even the coon and the tom. My desire, my prayer is that this limit that the coon and the tom have that's turning on the black community, will come quickly. So that they'll stand for justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. Our Savior has come, brothers and sisters. You waiting on this white Jesus? I mean, I can't even believe some people still at this late date have a picture of the white Jesus on their wall. And you don't understand. You don't understand a picture of self-hate. You don't even understand it. You don't even understand it. And it's sad and it's horrible that at this late date that there are many black people still walking around with white Jesus on their wall, looking at that portrait. When this picture that Michelangelo posted and duplicates like it was only the white man in envy painting himself a god and beating you till your back was bloody until you believed in the God that he was putting in front of you. If the white man's God is so good, why did he tell them to put you into slavery? That would mean that's a God I wouldn't want to trust. That's a God that I would put in my trash can. That's a God that I would piss on. That's a God that I would defecate on, because any God that would do that to a man is a God that is worthy of his own death. I'm just being honest with you. I wouldn't put that God up on my wall, white Jesus. Why, you out of your mind? Peace, brother LD. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, brother. That's a God that I don't want to have anything to deal with. I don't want to deal with that God, because that God don't have my best interest in mind. Besides, that God is white. Well, you out of your mind worshiping a white God. You out of your mind. When all of these gods you got in Africa and the children of gods that you have in Africa that have done amazing things, why the Europeans wouldn't have the castles they have today if they hadn't taken over Black Europe. You don't hear me? Brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to tell you is that you are great people already. The white man knows it. You're the only one that don't know it. You don't even know how great you are. And the reason you don't know it is because you're busy listening to the devil that put you in a position that you're in. You're busy listening to the devil that put you in the situation that you're in. We've got to get wiser. We've got to get better. We've got to sacrifice more. And we have to be willing to die. You got to be willing to die. Yeah, you do. standing up for what you believe in. Listen, you don't have to march down the streets today. You go to your community, build up the black houses in your community, renovate them. You'll stop homelessness. If you do that, you can start a mission in your community. If you do that, you start job training program. Now we can work on the internet. We can literally create our jobs from the internet. So we know that we need internet power, right? So we need to be able to train our brothers and sisters to work on the internet. We need to be able to train our brothers and sisters there. There are people that are hiring brothers and sisters that have jobs on the internet. They have businesses on the internet that will train you to work a job on the internet. You don't even have to leave home to do that. We've got to get back into our technical jobs, automotive, carpentry, brick mason, bricklaying. We got to get back into doing these things. Construction, right? In the black community. They need it. Our communities need us to build it up. Our children need our education. We need home education system. Is that right or wrong? We should be educating our children out of the home. You worried about the white man teaching your children bad knowledge? You worried about the white man killing your children in school? You worried about the white man doing other things against your child? Take your child out of the associations that are white and keep them in your black homes and educate them. Give them black education. If you do that, then you can control your community. You can create jobs in your community, then you can hire in your community. If you can hire in your community, then you will control the economics in your community. If you get your own stores, just by buying products in your stores and buying products from your people, just by buying black, you'll be able to successfully protest Walmart. But you can't protest a white business if you don't have any black business. Black people need to get some business. Black people need to mind their business. What is our business? Our business is our own economics. That's our business. Our own education. That's our business. Our own insurance and assurance is our business. Our own religion. Is that right or wrong? If we do these things, then we'll deliver our communities. But you'll never deliver your community talking that jive about integration. You won't do it. Integration did nothing but destroy your community. And besides, anytime a nation will take a money producer like Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood, Alps, and Pines, and bomb it, why, you should know what kind of government you're dealing with. That's why I tell you, any successful organization will eventually have to have a successful defense. Right? You have to be willing to die. You standing up, you don't do anything to the white man. You're not killing the white man. The white man is killing you. I'm not telling you to kill him, but I'm just making a point. I don't want anybody out here to say, he said go and kill the white man. I never said that. I never said it. What I'm saying is the truth. And America knows it, and every other person knows it, that the white man is running around here killing you. Right? And you act as if you're peaceful. You'll kill each other, but you won't kill him when he's coming in the community, killing your daughters, your sons, your mothers, your fathers, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. You act peaceful and nonviolent. When you and I both know that we in our community, our people are sick. They do a bunch of cutting and shooting of one another. But we've got to have some people dedicated like our brother, right? Our brother Haggins, Minister Malcolm Potographer, was dedicated. He knew that he was putting his life on the line. Earl Grant knew that he was putting his life on the line. They were willing to go. They were willing to go to the very gates of heaven if it meant defending our brother, so that their conscience would be at peace with God. Our conscience have to be at peace with God. We have to live a life, my goodness, so that our conscience is at peace with God. We got to be at peace, brothers. My Lord. We got to be at peace. We got to learn to keep the peace. We got to learn how to stand through confusion, right? It may cost you your very life. You know, just you building up your community is a threat to the white community. Just you building it up. I can't get you to understand it. I can't get you to understand it. That's right, brother. Our brother, LD, said Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, Greenwood, Alps, and Pine, were the main street that contained Black Wall Street. That's true. And it was destroyed. Black Wall Street was destroyed because it was a stake of independence for the black people, not only with the Dow Jones, but also with the NASDAQ. You created that. You created that. You were the prime money. You were the prime money of the stock market. That was you. That was you, brothers and sisters. That's why we got to be true to our calling. When we talk about salvation, we talk about religion. This is the doorway to spirituality. For us to depend on God. It's not about the amount of people that you speak to. I don't care if you don't get any views on the internet or don't get any people in a forum. Keep working, keep wailing, keep singing, keep building, keep creating, keep inventing, because God put that in you. God did that. And you got to get wise. You got to get wise. If we move beyond vanity, we will see the work of God. If we move beyond vanity. We got to stop being vain. I see so many people on the internet, women's naked, in thongs, right there on the internet whores, virtual whores. Now, it's enough that we have to watch it on the streets. Now we got virtual whores on the internet. It's a shame and disgrace. And now they started putting naked men on the internet showing their Johnson. It's a shame and a disgrace, brothers and sisters. Shame and a disgrace. That's why I encourage the Christian sisters and the Muslims to cover up and tell the men, stop sagging your pants. You brothers better watch it. There was a sister named Frances Cress Welsing that said that the lower the pants sag, the longer the shirts are going to get, and men will end up stepping out of the pants and begin to wear dresses. And it's happening. It's happening. You got people like Dwayne Wade, whose son is demonic. His mind has been taken over. Because his parents is unholy. He has unholy thoughts that he's a girl, even though he was born with a penis. We have to question that. These things have to be investigated, brothers and sisters. We have to investigate that, and we have to cast these devils, right, out of those spiritual bodies into outer darkness. We've got to stand in the power of God. We've got to stand in the liberty that we've been made free. We can't do that. We can't do that giving the thumbs up to same-sex marriage. We can't do it. We can't do that saying that homosexuality is all right. We can't do it. There's a lot of ministers in the pulpit that are hiding and are going through their congregation, destroying the lives of young boys and girls, women and men that are doing it. In the closet sin, and we blame the children for coming out the way that they are, responding the way that they are, feminine or masculine in nature, depending on the sex. We blame the children when we should be looking at the deeper problem of what we're allowing to happen in America without chastising organizations that are committing these sins. God has given us the power to repel and rebuke evil if we'll do it. But we have to be dissatisfied with evil. See? We have to be dissatisfied with evil. We have to be dissatisfied with betraying one another. We've got to stand to build one another up, because in unity there's strength, brothers and sisters. If we're united, we're strong. And we have to say to ourselves, all that we have belongs to God, and we will stand. We got to be like the Hebrew boys that was in front of the fiery furnace and said, look, we know God can deliver us, but if he don't, we won't bow down to you. And that's what people are doing. They're bowing down. You got brothers and sisters that bow down to the white man. It's true. You bowing down to the white man, you bowing down to racism. You'll do anything. You'll sell your brother out, your mother, your sister, your father, and anybody that comes in your way. You'll literally sell them. You'll sell them out. Right? You sell out and buy into wickedness when you're working against God. Don't you know that God put the leaders in front of us to deliver us? And when those leaders are killed, God will raise up leaders. For every one leader that died, God will raise up 1,000 that will fight for freedom. See, because it's a seed. Leadership is a seed. And once that seed has been planted in the ground, under the right conditions, that seed will begin to grow up under the right conditions. And when it grows and sprout into a plant, now you have the ability to cultivate that seed by chopping away everything that would choke it out, and to water it, and to give it plenty of sun. And once these elements are right, this seed will mature into a plant. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? And this plant will become food or nourishment for brothers and sisters that could use it. Isn't that right? So when we see that and we feed off this holy instructions of God, when we follow God and we make the right decision, this is spiritual food that will nourish us and to the people that God wants us to be, so that we'll be able to stand in the liberty that we have been made free. We need to be teaching African religious history, right? We need to be teaching African religion and history. We need to be teaching that so that our kids will know about themselves, so that our children will know who God is. It's time now to take the white Jesus off the walls of your mind and off the walls of your heart, and put the actual picture of God, the God of your ancestors, the God of your ancestors. Every country, and I want you to pay attention to this, because I'm about to go. Every country in the world has a deity or a God that looks like them. Except every country got it. Even Africa got black deities. But no one is encouraged, beat, harassed, and every other thing you can name to change their God like the black man is harassed to do it. It's a wild thought. I mean, it is a crazy thought. And you know why the white man wants you to believe in white Jesus. Because Jesus is a Klansman. White Jesus have got more people killed. White Jesus have got more people killed than any other deity around the world. White Jesus have got those people killed. Because he's the only God that has no kindred with the gods of the other nations. And here's the reason. He was created because the other gods of the nation are black, Afro-Asiatic gods. I don't care who it is, all those gods come from Africa. Even if you go to Japan, the god Kami comes from Kemet. And his dark skin meant blessings and glory. But you won't study. And for that reason, you have a low self-esteem of yourself and your people. And you are the problem. The black man is the worst problem that he has in his own community. The black man is. Oh yeah, I'm getting on you today. We are our worst enemy because we will sell out for any price. But I thank God, Allah, you can say Jesus, Jehovah, whatever you want. I'm thankful that God has people who are going to stand for justice, stand for righteousness, who are not so easily persuaded to do evil. We have to be persuaded to stand against evil, brothers and sisters. It's time out. It's time out. Time out for those kind of mistakes. It's time out for standing for evil. We got to stand for good. We got to stand for God. We got to get on God's side so that God can be on our side. Gordon Parks, he sold Minister Malcolm out. But for everyone that won't, there's one that will. But I'm so thankful that Minister Malcolm X had a photographer and friend named Robert Haggins who worked with Earl Grant to make sure that Minister Malcolm's focus and his dreams would not be overlooked. I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for that. You know, when I think of how Minister Malcolm was killed, and I think of how the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was killed, and how he lost Sister Clara, how Martin King was killed, his family, how John F. Kennedy was killed. Yeah. Oh yeah, the white man could be killed for trying to do right too. The white man could be killed for trying to do right too. Yeah. And Robert Kennedy, how he was killed. You already know that evil is stark, grim, and ugly. And if you allow the devil to inhabit you, you keep selling out. That's what he's doing. He'll have you to do anything. You won't even know who you are anymore, brothers and sisters. Isn't that right? Isn't there some brothers and sisters that went to the other side, and the minute they go to the other side, you don't even know them? Not anymore. And they're willing to do anything to keep up that facade. Anything to keep up that facade. But we've got to lean and depend on God to get us out of this. We got to keep standing for righteousness. You got to get wise. The Bible is your salvation. The Bible is your salvation. I used to hear Dr. Khalid Muhammad say that. I used to hear Minister Malcolm say it. My grandfather, Pastor Samuel Rogers, used to say that. Sister Coretta King used to say that. Shabbat Shabbat. Some of the older preachers back then used to say that. You know, they said the Bible is your weapon. The Bible is all you need to fight against this world. Now, brothers and sisters, I got a funny story for you. I remember that one time, well, I tell you what, I won't even say it. I won't even say it, but I will say this. There was an old man named Willie Baptist, and we used to go to these meetings at the end of the sessions they would have with religious education sessions. If you know what those are, if you was in the Garveyite movement or in the ecumenical service or Nation of Islam, there'd be some older ministers there, you know, and each of them talk with different kind of wisdom. I think, and you have to give it to wisdom because they're of age, so we have to learn how to respect them. But the thing that I want to tell you is that there was this old man named Willie Baptist, and he says, God is all that you need. This Bible is your weapon. And Willie, we asked him to open up. We was getting ready to have a prayer meeting. I believe it was on a Friday night. And asked Reverend Baptist to open up his Bible and read Revelation 20 and 15. And this is so funny to me. I never forget it. As long as I live, I'll never forget it. And Willie Baptist opened up his Bible. He didn't have Revelation. Didn't have all of it. Didn't have the complete works. Because in that Bible, he had a hole cut out big enough so he could put his Magnum in it, 357 Magnum. And he told me, he told all of us, he said, the Bible is the best instrument of strength you have. The Bible is all you need. Now, there was a double-sided wisdom in both things that he said. Whether you go with it or not, he was saying you could preach to a man when they're killing you all you want to. All you want to, you could preach to him. But he said that's not going to stop him from killing you. But you defending yourself will stop him from killing you. And I'll go for that. I'll go for that. You keep praying for people to not kill you, and keep praying that God protect you when he's giving you a mind to protect yourself. You'll never end it. You'll never end it. You'll never end the violence against you, the violence against your people. I'm not telling you to go out. I'm just telling you to defend yourself. Somebody come up on you, you defend yourself, defend your family, defend whoever you're with. And if you defend them, you'll stop it. But if you wait for him to stop killing you because you're praying, because he taught you to do it in slavery, to pray to this white Jesus. And you wonder why he's not answering. The white Jesus is not answering you because he's a member of the Ku Klux Klan. He's a member of racism. He's a member of eugenics. Can't trust the white Jesus while you're out of your mind. Trusting any God that doesn't look like you. So if you pray, you'll never end it. But the minute you start defending yourself, then you will end it. Because we can't expect America at this late date to protect us. And we have to assume that they're either unwilling or unable to do it. But we have to be willing to defend ourselves. And one of the best way of defense is to stand united with your brothers and sisters and supporting them. The best ways of defense is going inside of your community, rebuilding houses. The best way of defense is building stores within your community, controlling your labor market so you can hire your own people in your community. This is the best way. Religious education that's black. Home education system that's black. You need to be trying to educate and upgrade the black community in every possible way necessary to keep them equivalent and on the cusp of change. Last thing I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, we've got to keep families together. We've got to respect our sisters. We've got to respect our brothers. A lot of brothers out there being abused. Sisters, black sisters that are calling on police when they've been abusing brothers. Sisters, I'm begging you tonight to do right. I'm always telling the brothers to do right because you need to do right. No black man that should be damaging his family or destroying his family. I agree. And if you're in odds with one another, make peace with one another. It's that simple. You don't need any marriage counseling. You don't need any relationship counseling. You don't need any kind of counseling when you can just make up your mind to do right to your brothers and sisters. Make up your mind to do the right thing. Make up your mind to come together for the sake of our children. Make up your mind to do that. The only people that need counseling are selfish people. If you're selfish or you're not willing to work on things, then yeah, you're going to need it. You're going to need it because you're selfish. But you can make up your mind to do right. You can make up your mind to do right. Make up your mind to do each other right. Brothers and sisters, make up your mind to do each other right. We have enough to fight against than to be fighting amongst ourselves. We're fighting amongst ourselves. We have enough to fight against than to be fighting each other. We have too much work to do than to be fighting each other. And there's too much that has to be done. God is turning this world back over to us. God is turning it over to us. Will you be ready when that time comes? Brothers and sisters, I love you. And remember, I'm not just getting on you. I'm chastising you because God chasing those whom he loves. Right? And we ourselves are the handiwork of God. And I want to see you do your best. I want to see our communities revisited and revised and rebuilt. And I know you want the same thing. I already know it. So let's be steadfast. Let's be unmovable. Let's be always abounding in the work that God has placed here. That God has placed here. God has placed you and I here to do a great work. And we can't do it by mistreating one another. We have to be able to forgive one another. Anybody that you haven't forgiven, tonight I want you to call them if you can and forgive them. And it may be a relationship where you're not able to. Then pray for the strength to do it, to get up and to forgive your brothers and your sisters, so you won't have that weight holding you down. So you won't have that weight holding you down, it won't hold them down. And stand in the liberty, brothers and sisters, that we've been made free. And in unity there's strength. We have to unite, because in unity there's strength. And I know you believe this. I know that you already know it. You already know these things. I'm just reminding you of what you already know. And I love you, brothers and sisters. If I haven't said it, I love you. And I want the best for you. I want you to be strong. I want you to be standing in the holy place. What is a holy place? I want you to have the mind to do right, the mind to walk right, the mind to talk right. That's the holy place. And I want to see you there, because you're so beautiful. You have such a gift. You have such a gift, brothers and sisters. God is giving you that. But God wants you to use that gift to bless your community. He wants you to use that gift to build your community. He wants you to use that gift to love your community. I love you, brothers and sisters. And if I didn't say it in the beginning, I say it now. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.